Good day, everyone. How are you doing? Hope you're all fantastic. Feeling groovy, realizing the government really doesn't love you, and also realizing that pretty much everything you've been told since the day you were born is a lie. It is July the 19th of 2025, 2:50 p.m. Mr. Buzz coming to you from the communist shithole that is known as Ontario, Canada. If you get anything out of this video, please give me a thumbs up is all I ask. And let's get to my obsession, we'll call this one. I have an obsession, and I've had it for a long time. It is to fully understand the grandest conspiracy of all time. The one, I think it was Eisenhower said, when one looks into this, they are confronted with a conspiracy so big, so amazing, that they can't even believe it's true. I've had an obsession with figuring the entire thing out for many years now. And I have more hours of digging into it than the average person. I've had a lot of time on my hands, last decade especially. And sometimes I go non-stop night and day, trying to figure it out, trying to understand, trying to connect things, connecting dots. David Icke talks a lot about connecting dots. That's very important. So the biggest part of it all is Operation Paperclip. And I've really been obsessed with this since the day I learned that term. For those who don't know, and it blows my mind that there's still some people who've never heard of this, but some people still believe that the Nazis were all executed at the Nuremberg trials, and that, the whole Nazi regime went away. Nope. They did execute a few to make it look good. The more valuable ones, the mad scientists, basically, who were, doing inhumane experiments on people and torturing them just to see what would happen. And I mean, the real evil ones. They gave them jobs. The American government gave them jobs, apartments, houses, prestigious jobs too, like Werner von Braun. He was the head of the rocket department at NASA. So they didn't execute these people. They didn't punish these people. These were the most vicious criminals the world has ever known of, and they were rewarded for what they did. 100% true. Promise you. So why would the Americans do this? Well, the Nazis were learning all kinds of interesting things through experiments and all their mad science. And they developed a lot of technology and mind control techniques. This is where MK Ultra comes from. This is also where Big Pharma comes from. Almost all of the big pharma companies were born out of the Nazis. That's where it goes if you trace the origins of those places. Again, the experiments, they were using various drugs on people to see how they could gain total mind control over somebody. Watch the movie Clockwork Orange. You want to see the kind of stuff that they do in MK Ultra. Forcing you to watch horrific stuff and pumping you full of drugs and keeping your eyes open with like toothpick sort of things. Some pretty vicious, evil stuff went on. So everything you're seeing in society can be traced back to Operation Paperclip. That's how the Americans, with DARPA and CIA and everybody, that's how they figured out how to do all the stuff they're doing. From the Nazis, because of Operation Paperclip. Some people call it Project Paperclip. Same deal. One of the big ideas the Nazis came up with was to turn the world into a movie set. Okay, this partly comes from Edward Bernays as well, who I'm sure took most of his inspiration from Nazi stuff. Edward Bernays came up with the term manufacturing consent. Basically bullshitting everybody and getting them to think what you want them to think, getting them to go along with a certain thing like war, like attacking another country, by feeding them a bunch of garbage that isn't true, scaring them into thinking you have to do it, and they go, oh yeah, you better go attack that country. Manufacture consent. Well, Mr. Mustache Man back in Germany there, he had the idea that the whole world is a movie set. And you can play with the public's opinions and, the way they feel about stuff by creating a movie. By creating scenes in a movie in public. So sometimes things like mass shootings, or it could even be a bombing. They got caught in Ukraine filming fake bombings, trying to blame some certain group on these bombings. They were all actors. It was a movie set. There was cameramen there, and somebody leaked the footage of them. People got blown up, and they were laying there, pretend to be dead. And then all of a sudden, the full video, if you see it, okay, guys, it's a wrap, and everybody stands up and dusts themselves off. Wow. They recovered fast from those bombs going off. So this is what's going on all over the place. And Ukraine is a totally Nazi place, by the way. The Azov Battalion, I think they're called, neo-Nazis. Pure neo-Nazis. They've got swastikas on their, tattooed on their arms. They're Nazis. Here in Canada, we actually had one of them from Ukraine, one of the old guys who literally was a Nazi in World War II. He's still alive. Canadian government brought him down to our parliament, gave him a standing ovation, big tribute to him, pretending they didn't know he was a Nazi. They knew damn well he was a Nazi. Because Chrystia Freeland, her family, were Nazis. So, they can't even hide this stuff. It's blatantly obvious that the Nazi regime is still alive and well. It never went anywhere. Argentina is completely infested with them, because that's where they all went. The ones who didn't go in Operation Paperclip, and Hitler himself, they all ended up in Argentina after the war. Hitler didn't kill himself like they said. That's not true. That's not true. That's been proven not true. The CIA spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars looking for him for years. He was not dead. They wouldn't have been running around the world looking for him if he was dead. Okay? He wasn't. He was in Argentina for a while, and then I don't know where he ended up, but he was definitely in Argentina after the war. That's a pretty well-known thing now. So, and I'll mention this too, Justin Trudeau, giving speeches. One of his famous ones was about the unvaccinated. What do we do with these people? Should we tolerate them? All they do is take up space. These are lines from a very famous Adolf Hitler speech. Okay, so our Prime Minister here speaking to us with Hitler's words. What does that tell you? Should tell you a whole lot. So Hitler had this idea that you could just fake everything, and the government and the movie industry could mesh together. And politicians should all be actors. And if you look up the names of mostly Democrats, but Republicans too, look up the names of the Democrat, like the senators or the Congress people, whatever, and look at their backgrounds, you're going to find out that about probably 70% are actors and actresses. And if they weren't actors or actresses, they worked in wardrobe or makeup or camera people or something in the movie industry, and then went into politics. This is from Operation Paperclip as well. This was Hitler's idea. Your politicians need to be actors. And then, because I mean, what's a politician? A professional liar. He's an actor, a professional liar, to make you believe something that isn't true. That's his job. They don't have any other job. Their job is to fool you, to deceive you, make you think something that isn't true. And of course, enrich themselves the whole time they're doing it. But this is all Hitler's idea. The government should basically be a movie cast. Okay, that's the cast and crew, is all your politicians. And you can film all this fake stuff. You can, I mean, look, they sent those women up in they call it the penis shuttle, the Jeff Bezos rocket. Looks like that was all fake. Everything you see is fake. They don't really do this stuff. It's all fake. Even if we did go to the moon, the footage that we saw was fake. Stanley Kubrick blew the whistle on that. Definitely. It was, maybe they did go to the moon, but we never saw the real footage. What we watched was completely fake. Done in a studio. Everything's fake, folks. Everything. Everything you see, all these events, the Gulf of Tonkin incident that started the Vietnam War was fake. That's one of the biggest well-known conspiracy theories that was completely true. That got labeled conspiracy theory like everything else does. All these things are fake, and it's all Adolf Hitler's idea to do this. Okay, you can twist the public's brains in any way you want if you have good enough actors and you plaster it all over the place. You know, the news is completely fake. When you're watching mainstream news, they organize the set and they set everything up and get everybody in place. Okay, action, here we go. And then they create this narrative out of nothing. It's fake. It's almost always fake. That's what Hitler taught them. So everything you're seeing nowadays is thanks to him. That's where it all comes from. And like I say, Edward Bernays, with his manufacturing consent, who took a lot of his inspiration from the Nazis. And then you got Big Harmo, who totally was born out of the Nazis. You put all these things together, and the UN is involved in this completely, in the WEF. The UN is the one who organized all the immigration to destroy the Western world. World War II never ended. I'll put it that way. World War II has never ended. It's still raging on. They're not done. They just regrouped and made an alliance. The Nazis and the Americans made an alliance. And now, and I mean, I can't say every American politician is involved in it. There's a lot of them I don't think are. But organizations like DARPA and the CIA, they're completely Operation Paperclip. Okay, that's where all their skills and talents originate. The Nazis taught them how to do it. Werner von Braun, after committing all those atrocities, people see his rockets going, yay, and they clap for him. You're clapping for one of the most vicious Nazis ever, who never got punished one single bit for anything he did. None of them did. Except the couple, to make it look good, they executed a couple there, and the other ones were done in private, apparently, they said. But 10 years later, we found out, no, those people are still alive. They were in the States with great jobs, working at NASA. I mean, reward. They got a reward for being vicious criminals, killers. The worst war crimes ever committed. So they were rewarded. It's a lot of people, when they first hear that, they won't believe me. Say, go look it up. Operation Paperclip. I mean, it's not secret. There's a million books written about it. Everyone's talking. It was on Tucker Carlson, had somebody on talking about it the other day. And this was a guy who really knew it. He was diving right into it. Naomi Wolf, her name is. It's another one who talked a lot about this. I think she wrote a book about it too. Naomi Wolf is a brilliant woman. I highly recommend her. Dr. Drew has her on quite often. They're good friends. So the world's a movie. You're living in a movie. I actually wrote a song called Living in a Movie and Trying to Stay Groovy about this. The world's a movie set. There's a place called White Castle Studios. I think that's the one the government uses. Biden was always in a studio when he did his videos and address to the people. He was in a movie studio. He wasn't in the White House. They'd show him, look, it looks like he's in the White House. But if you know what to look for, there's proof it's not really the White House. They have a fake Oval Office and everything. And that's where he'd film. So I'm not even sure what the purpose is of that, but that's been confirmed. The world is a movie. You're living in the Truman Show, basically. So the best way to handle living in the Truman Show, of course, is turn to the Lord Jesus Christ, because he is the way, the truth, and the life.